have to drill into my motorcycle, my brand new motorcycle. Let's get started. Hello, we're back in the garage working on the Ibex again. We got a few upgrades to add, and we're gonna start with the front crash bars. These are the CFMOTO crash bars. They sent them to me. Pretty sturdy, pretty happy with them. They're not too heavy, maybe a couple pounds each. Obviously they're made for this bike exactly. Should be an easy install. I'm a little worried about having to take that front fender off, but we'll figure it out. Sadly, that means that if you saw the Cyclops video, they put this very beautiful light bar on here for me, but I'm gonna have to take it off and mount the lights to the crash bars. But fortunately, I have those mounts, so we can do all of that today. And I've also got some great stuff from Outback Motortek, Pannier racks. I've got a new kind of rear rack for it, and there's also just like a lot of paper towels around. So if you're wondering what that's all about, it's because I attempted to change the oil without taking the skid plate off, and yeah, I don't recommend it. I did technically do it, but I'm gonna have to really clean the skid plate out because there's probably half a quart in there still. It's not a good scene, so don't be lazy, take the skid plate off. Don't be like me. First order of business is, let's take the old, I've had them for a week. Let's take the Cyclops lights off so we can put them on the new thing. So this is a 13mm, and yeah, I'm just desperately hoping there's just enough room to get these bolts out without having to take this fender off. We'll find out. So why did I decide to go crash bars? I wasn't going to. I wanted to keep this thing as light as possible, so I wasn't going to do uppers, but after having dropped it myself and the fairing hitting the ground and having seen quite a few posts, by quite a few I mean like 2 or 3, in the Ibex group on Facebook where people dropped it and the fairing just snapped, I'm afraid it hits the ground a little too easily, more than I would like, so I am just going to bite the bullet and put crash bars on. I'll just eat up a little bit more weight, you know. People always say stuff like, well, that just ruins the point of a light bike. It really doesn't, because you started with a lighter platform and you were probably going to put crash bars on the heavier bike anyway, so you're still coming out lighter in the long run. Well, I can get it loose, but the bolt is too long, so yeah, I'm going to have to take this freaking fender off again. Ta-da, there it is. This will make the rest of this operation easier, at least, theoretically. Damn it, Brian, they were all aligned. You did such a good job, and I'm just ruining it all, because I'm just the worst, you know? Like, this is not a secret. Everybody knew. You go on any forum, they'll tell you, Dork on the road is the worst. Cut the zip tie, not the wire. Okay, or yourself, dummy. I will have to unbolt the lower crash bar here, and just put the new one over the top of it. I'm pretty sure it doesn't actually say in the instructions, so it must not matter. We'll find out. If this little thing has to come out first, that's where the top bar goes. So cleverly, like I said, already made for it. Whoa, that is violent. And there's a little hole in there. Perfect for this. So the bar goes like this. That, and then all the way up to the front. Just like that. Like a glove. This bracket goes just like this into the holes where that light mount was. I'm going to start one, and then I'll get the other and put some Loctite on it, and then I'll take this one back out. Because while I may need to loosen the crash bars at some point, kind of doubt I'm going to have to take this bracket off. Oh, definitely kick the camera, that helps. So let's at least keep it sturdy. Remove the top bolt on the crash bar, and we'll put the new one on top. Let's assume this goes on the outside, because you know what happens when you assume. Everything turns out fine every single time. That's what I read on the internet. Everything always turns out perfectly fine. So we're just going to start these, and I'll tighten everything up when it's all done. Okay, so pro tip. This is the spacer from the crash bars. This is the spacer from the lower crash bars. So if you're doing both, you use the spacer from the lower because it's smaller. Now we know, and knowing is half the battle. Because the upper crash bar makes up the other part of that. Yeah, that's gonna fit, look at that. Funny how that works. Okay, and the top, right here, over, and it just screws into the bracket you put in there. just like this. Inside out, or outside in, I should say. Oh yeah, wow. Buying OEM stuff is nice because it just fits, question mark? All right, there you go. That's all started. The only other thing you need to see is this cap goes in the end of the bar, but I'm gonna do the other side. It looks exactly the same, and then I'll come back when we put the mounts on for the lights. So I guinea pigged this side just to make sure I had it all good. And I think this will work. That's real solid on there, so you just take the mount they gave you. I was gonna go up on top, but that would just put it in a line with the headlight, and I don't think I like that. So I'm going down below. You just gotta find the rubber spacer for the CFMOTO crash bars. It is the middle-sized one. And then there is a right side up with these because the Aurora lights are too long, the bracket's too long to go on the top, on the shelf, so you gotta put it on the bottom. I just learned that the hard way. And if you're like, well yeah, but how do I wire up the lights? There's a whole separate video on that, which you can see in the Ibex playlist. And it's kind of hard to get to the top one once you get this tightened all the way from behind, because the fairing will be in your way. So I like to just tighten it as much as possible first, and then I'll rotate it back, and then I can still tighten the other one. So I'm gonna tighten this all the way down, and then flip it up. I'm gonna try to get the spacing pretty even. That's gonna be rough. Oh, hold on, I've got a little point of reference. It's this thing, see how it comes right there? So I'm gonna do the same on this side, right there. Once that's where I kinda like it, we'll tighten up the bottom. Make sure I'm pointing more or less forward. Yeah, okay, the only thing left to do is flip this over because the logo's upside down, but I think you can figure that out. So it's the next day, and I got the lights all figured out. I got the wires flipped, all of that, that's all good. Crash bars are on, but completely forgot that I'm wiring in a GPS and I need to get to the wiring harness, the accessory power, which is behind this fairing. So yeah, I did that out of order. Now I gotta take this crash bar back off. At least it's only 3 bolts. Plus side is, by the end of this, I'm gonna be intimately familiar with these crash bars. This is why I was not doing uppers in the first place. I don't want to deal with taking them off every time I need to get to something. Okay. Where is it? Right there. Oh, that's hard to get to with crash bars. Son of a bitch. What the hell was that? I hope it was a rock. Okay, I don't like that noise. He said there was only one Phillips. Okay. Maybe there's 2. Hold on. There's 2. There's one right here. Okay, okay. Headlamp, where is it? That doesn't make any sense what that is. There it is. I do not want to take this freaking fender back off. Oh my god. Hold on, I think I got it. I don't want to speak too soon. I got it, I got it, I got it. 2 hidden Phillips. Sneaky CFMOTO. Yeah, okay, now we're free. Now we're free. Wiring harness is here. Fortunately, with the Cyclops additional accessory plug they gave me, I just have bullet connectors ready to go. So at least I don't have to splice anything in. I just have to put bullet connectors on the leads for the GPS and then plug it in. That's good. So I'm gonna do that now. I don't think there's anything else I'm gonna need to wire in, but I'm gonna think about that real hard before I put this all back together. Okay, well it took a second, but I managed to fish the wire down in here where the adjustable windscreen is, down through the headlight fairing and out the side here. So now I can plug it in. So I'm gonna just get everything at the top situated and then run the excess down and kind of bundle it up with everything there. But I've got this Rally Raid GPS mount that I've had forever. I've never actually used it on a bike, but it works pretty perfect on this crossbar. I'm not excited about this crossbar because I think it moves too much, but it's what there is, so we're gonna try it. So this is mounted to the wiring, which is all fished down there. That's a whole tedious process I just didn't want to bore you with. So back of the GPS mount, front of the mount. Actually, that's backwards. This is the front. Oops. This is the back. I know because it says Rally Raid on it. More or less centered. I didn't measure it. I just eyeballed it. And I put just a little bit of friction tape on there because I had some left over from mounting the lights. Okay, a little trial and error, but the Rally Raid mount is here, the Zumo is mounted to it, and I want to show you one of the coolest mods if you want to secure your Zumo, which, you know, I do because they're expensive. Okay, I just looked it up. The Motortek locking Zumo XC2 mount is $200. Now, admittedly, that includes the mount too, this part, so it's not a straight apples to apples comparison, but this MotoPump setup is much cheaper. So my GPS is on there, right? But right now, anybody could just take it if they wanted to. Very simple. Well, this genius in its simplicity solution from MotoPumps is my favorite. There's just a plate that I put between the mount that's on the bike and the Garmin mount, and it has just this little hole for this screw right here. So you put this screw in. You can't turn it with anything but this tool, so you just keep this key on you for when you need it. Tighten her down, and nobody can get that out of there without this tool. So that's a hell of a lot cheaper than $200, and it works great. And I just leave my Zumo on the bike all the time, essentially. Now that that's done, let's test it. Let's give it the moment of truth. I plugged it in, let's see if it comes on. It's plugged in here into some of the extra bullet connectors on the fairing. I just added a couple bullet connectors to the GPS power cable. Come on, baby. Yeah! Something goes right today. All right. Now I just have to bundle up all the slack and put everything back together. Saints preserve us. Hey, don't bark. I'm trying to work. That is not the opposite of what I asked you to do. So it is day 3. Not like 3 solid days, but just like when I've had time in the afternoons to work on this. And we're doing the last couple mods, which is the Outback Motortek Pannier racks. Yes, I'm going back to Pannier racks. I initially wanted to keep this kind of light and lean, but I haven't been able to use and test any panniers since I got rid of my last bike that had pannier racks. So I'm going to put these on there so we'll have ultimate versatility, so we can use all kinds of different luggage options, and these aren't very heavy. Outback Motortek was kind enough to send these out, and I went with the Outback Motorteks instead of the CFMOTOs because they are flat. On this side, the CFMOTOs are staggered. They have the top is farther in than the bottom to go over the exhaust, but I can't use that with all of my universal fit pannier mounts. So I wanted one that's flat. This is flat. So this is a pretty simple operation. The scariest part is I have to drill into my motorcycle, my brand new motorcycle. I already did the other side, so I know this works, so let's get started. Oh, you know what? Before I drill into this beautiful bike, let's talk about my favorite mod for this beautiful bike. And the first thing I put on it, and that was the quad lock phone mount. So 2 things I want to talk about this quad lock phone mount. One, the case. So you have to buy a quad lock case because it has the connector thing on the back. You might think that sucks because you're locked into a specific kind of case, but I love these quad lock cases because they are not bulky, they don't add a lot of bulk to the phone, and man, yesterday I dropped this, went to catch it, smacked it, and it went screen first into the very edge of this motorcycle lift, and it didn't break. So I drop my phone all the time. I've been using these quad lock cases for 7 years. I have not broken a phone yet. So the case that you get while you're locked into this simple black case is great. It does the job of protecting your phone. The other big question I get is, yeah, but does that vibration dampener really help? Can you really ride it on rough terrain? Well, I turned the camera on it directly while I was in Death Valley this last time. So I'll just put that footage in so you can see it. And it was not a very nice road, a very rough kind of road. And the point of this setup is there's that vibration dampener because it's the high frequency vibrations that ruin the camera in your phone. So the vibration dampener takes those high frequency vibrations and makes them into low frequency vibrations, thereby protecting your camera. I've never had a problem with the camera. Admittedly, I'm not an iPhone guy, but the same thing can happen to these Samsung phones, and I've not had my camera get messed up one time in the 7 years I've been using those mounts. So vibration dampener plus wireless charging plus easy on and off, quick access for your phone if you're taking pictures all the time like me. It's right there for navigation, charging automatically. You don't have to do anything. I love the quad lock setup. One of my favorite mods, one of the brands I've been working with the longest, and they sponsored this video, and I'm excited to continue to work with them. So consider a quad lock mount for your bike. I'll put a link in the description. I have to do one thing before I drill into this because I have to mark the spot. So first is you have to don't take this all the way off, particularly on this side, but you have to remove the rear foot peg mount bolts to put in longer ones for the Outback setup. I'm gonna do them one at a time, because that way one bolt will hold the assembly up while I put the other one in. Then I'll swap it and reverse it, thank you. So where did I put, here it is. Yeah, so that is it's a 6mm Allen key. I'll start with the front one. These are tight because they're not supposed to come off. I'm also putting on the rear rack, so there's a little bit of a trick to putting them both on that is not in the installation video. I just had to figure it out. What the hell, Lori? Come on, man. What are you doing to me? Making me have to think? I hate it. So it's just the short bolts that came in the kit. A little dabble do ya, a little Loctite, sort of important. So I'm just gonna get that one started, and again, I'm not gonna tighten anything down because there's a lot to kind of line up here. It will be tight going in because there's factory Loctite on everything. Okay, so that one's in. Take the other one out. The other side's easier because the exhaust isn't in your way, but it's not really a big deal. Don't do this when it's running or when the exhaust is hot, but otherwise it's not that hard. Again, just start it. You're gonna need some play there. So you get this is a open-ended spacer that just slides on right here. I don't know why it had to be open-ended. I had to take the bolt out, so why couldn't I just use a regular spacer so it doesn't fall out the whole time while I'm working on the rest of it? You don't have to put this in right now, but I'm just putting it there so I know where it is. This part has a little bit of an inexact science, so if you care more than I do about aesthetics, you're not going to do it the way that I'm about to do it, but just know. It worked fine on the other side. It's not perfect, but you can line it up and you're never going to be able to tell. So this plastic piece comes off, and if you want to just leave it off, you can, but you have to get through it or take it off to get to the bolt holes underneath that are built for the factory pannier rack. So what I did on the other side is I just marked kind of where I thought it was, and then I just drilled a hole in the thing, and it was a little bit off, but I just drilled a hole right next to it, and it looks fine. That's good enough for me, and I just want to keep the plastic cover because there's like a lot of direct access to all your electronics up in here, and a lot of water splashes up off this back tire, so I want to keep all this sealed up as much as possible. So for me, it makes sense to drill the holes and put the thing back on, and it'll look a lot better, even if it doesn't look perfect. So just mark that hole. I'm just doing the front one first because the back's easier to do than the front one's in. I just have this step bit, and I'm gonna drill in my motorcycle, so yikes. Let's see how close we get. Wow, way off. Almost. That'll work, I think. A little higher than I thought, but all good. I'd rather have one kind of weirdly oblong hole and the rest of it protected than not have this thing. So, okay, I'm gonna put this back on. It goes on here. I don't know why that had to be open-ended too. I'm no engineer, so I'm sure there's a reason. I just don't know what it is. I'm just gonna start this second bolt. This is, again, the longer bolt goes in the front. Shorter one goes through the spacer. Just gonna use my handy screwdriver as a punch to mark the hole. Take all this out and drill another hole. Yeah, it looks okay. You have to look real closely to know that I effed that up, but you could measure it and do all that if you really care about precision here. I don't. That's what we call good enough. That'll do. That'll do, pig. That'll do. Okay, and the back, it is washer, medium-sized bolt, spacer. So through here, through the spacer, and actually this one I'm not even going to put in super tight because I have to take it right off in a second to put the rear rack on here. I took the rear rack off of here already because I'm putting on the Outback one. It's just 4 bolts. It's easy to figure out. You don't need me to show you that. Okay, and this is the side bracket for the Outback rack. It just goes 1 bolt into the factory hole where the factory rack was. I'm just going to get that started. I'm going to show you what you do with the back bolt. So you don't end up using the long bolt and the spacers that come with this rack for the rear if you're doing pannier racks at the same time. So I'm just going to start that. So I took a second to try to figure this out, if it's inside or outside. I'm pretty sure it's outside, so I'm just going to unscrew this, keep the spacer where it is, go through the rear rack and the pannier rack into the spacer, into the hole that I drilled. Because when it's on the outside, so the top rack is on the outside and then this still lines up perfectly. It also has this bar that goes over the other bar, which is kind of cool. A couple turns into that. Make sure it's lined up. Yeah, and that's lined up perfectly. So the rear rack bracket goes outside the pannier rack bracket. So it's just a nylock nut, a bolt and 2 washers. This goes through. Put the washer on the inside, start the nylock nut, you seen the videos of Outback? Just like, they put all their stuff on an Ibex and just start like dumping it on the ground at high speeds and throwing it off cliffs and into the ditch and stuff. They don't screw around. I like those guys. I met Lori on the Washington BDR, and I've been a big fan ever since. That's all started. Now the moment of truth, I have to tighten down these 2 bolts that hold the bracket for the rear rack because I won't be able to get to them after I put the top on. Right now, get that started. It goes up so the tire can come up and not hit it. Okay, no. Not really cool, man. Hey, stop it. Not really cool, man. I'm gonna put one on the other side to make this a little easier on myself. Alright, one more thing to put on and then we just tighten everything down and we're good. The rack on, that's a lot skinnier, so if you're wanting to run soft luggage, like a rackless setup, and the stock bars are too wide, these are much narrower, it's much easier. Of course, I ruined that by putting pannier racks on it, but... why does it not look right? Upside down, moron. Good God. That should have been obvious, but I never said I was smart. So don't put it on upside down, okay? That would be stupid. Who would do that? Nobody. Like, it's obvious. God, morons. So, why do I even need to say that? Nobody would do that. Nothing's tightened down yet because I need the wiggle room to get all this lined up. Challenge, to be honest. A little bit of a challenge. Alright, well, you get the idea. Okay, now that everything's started, go around and tighten everything down. Hope for the best, pray, really. Give it the old Guten tight. Alright, well that's Ibex Mods round 2. So thanks to Outback Motortek for sending me the pannier racks and the rear rack. Thanks to CFMOTO for the front crash bars. Thanks to MotoCamp Nerd for sending me the mount for my Zumo XT2 and MotoPumps for that locking piece. And big thanks to QuadLock for sponsoring this video and the channel, protecting my phone and making it as easy to access as possible on the motorcycle. I will link everything that's on the bike in the description, including a link to the QuadLock site where you can use promo code Dork in the road to save 10%. Thank you for watching, I appreciate you, and please do not forget to be excellent to each other. Thank you.
Excellent!